Welcome to FactFrenzy Girl, where we unravel the mysteries of time and its profound impact on our lives. Today, prepare to be mesmerized as we explore the incredible power of time in ways you've never imagined. From the ticking of seconds to the vastness of eternity, join us on a journey that will reshape your understanding of time itself. Nothing can escape the hands of time. Whether it drags on while you're doing something boring or it flies by while you're having fun, our daily lives are very closely tied to the hands of the clock. But why are the seconds in a minute 60 and not 100, for example? And how is a bucket full of water able to indicate the time? Stay till the end to learn some super interesting facts about time. That will turn your ideas about it upside down. Let's get started. At the dawn of mankind, people divided time into day and night only. There were neither hours nor seconds, and one of the oldest calendars ever found was a lunar calendar, over 30,000 years old. The first people on the planet to divide the day into smaller parts. For more accurate counting were the Egyptians and Babylonians. They invented sundials, which divided the day into 12 equal parts. But why 12 and not 10, as it would be more logical and easier? Here science continues to argue, but it is believed they chose 12 because of the lunar cycles in the year, which as we know are exactly 12 in number. In the past, it was not the Earth's circumference around the sun that made a year, it was the lunar cycles. The second theory about the number 12 is that on one of our hands, there are exactly 12 phalanges, excluding the thumb. The phalanges are the small bones of each finger. Their hand was literally a clock, and the shadow of the sun indicated the time. At night, there were also 12 hours, and the time was kept thanks to the stars. So the day became 24 hours. The appearance of minutes and seconds. However, 1 hour was still too long a period of time. What to do for more accuracy? Hipparchus and other ancient Greek astronomers turned to the Babylonians, who calculated everything on the sexagesimal system, and so chose to divide an hour into 60 equal parts. Again, why not 10 or 100 but 60? It turns out, dear friends, that there is a cunning reason for this. 60 is the smallest number that is divisible, without remainder by the first 6 numbers, as well as by 10, 12, 15, 20, and 30. It was therefore very easy to use in astronomical calculations, and so the number 60 became the standard for division. After dividing the hour by 60 minutes, it was time to divide the minute by 60 seconds. This whole system was invented in the year 150. But people didn't actually use minutes at all until the 16th century, for the simple reason that there weren't enough accurate clocks to indicate them. In the past, the length of a second was a variable concept, as it was obtained by dividing the time between 2 astronomical events. For example, between 2 sunrises, or the 2 new moons. But as you can see, they change, and this can't be exact. That's why in 1967, 1 second was officially equal to 9,192,631,770 oscillations of the cesium atom. This is what a cesium atomic clock looks like, which is believed to be the most accurate in the world, and is not so radioactive as we think when we hear the word atomic. Whatever clocks we invent, dear friends, they will only show the standard here on Earth. Einstein proved that time is in fact a relative concept. For example, if you are moving at tremendous speed through space, then time will flow slower for you. Gravity also has an effect. The stronger it is, the slower time flows. For example, time on Mount Everest flows faster, and in about 4.5 billion years. It would be about a day and a half older than the surface of the Earth. One more interesting fact. Time for your face flows faster than time for your feet, for the same gravitational reason. But relax, the difference is negligible, and you won't feel it at all. If you want to constantly learn such strange facts, then you can subscribe to the channel. It motivates me to make more and more nice videos for you. Thank you. You've all heard of leap year, but what about leap seconds? Real astronomical time and atomic time do not always coincide, so we have to have something like a leap second during a certain period. The rotation rate of the Earth can be a bit unpredictable. It can actually change slightly due to various reasons, such as hurricanes, earthquakes, and other cataclysms. Most people won't notice this second at all, but realistically, it has consequences, especially for technology. For computers, a day is exactly 86,400 seconds. Since the leap second is not added regularly, generally whenever scientists feel like it, developers don't have time to add it to their program codes. It is this supposedly insignificant second That has caused huge crashes in sites like LinkedIn and Reddit, for example. Again, an error caused by the leap second in 2012 led to 400 flight delays in Australia. On your screens right now, you can see the difference between atomic time and astronomical time, and in reality, ours is off by about 23 seconds. The first people to indulge so much more in timekeeping were the Romans. But like every first thing, it was utter chaos with them. They counted intervals by drilling a bucket full of water and counting the notches the drops left on the walls. For example, in the courts, 10 notches of time were given on the wall for the defense to speak. This is incidentally where the expression wasting water comes from, which actually means wasting time. However, the real problems of the Romans were in the accounting of the months. They were guided by the moon, and each successive month had a different number of days. The first day of the month was called calendae, and that is where the word calendar comes from. The time for them was thus somewhat subjective and was determined by a priest pontiff, who added or removed days from the months so that they could correspond to the seasons. Literally, he had the power to lengthen or shorten the month, at his discretion, and so even abuses occurred. Julius Caesar decided to bring order and make the year according to the cycle of the sun. Hence the Julian calendar, and the month of July were named after him. Incidentally, it was used right up until the 16th century, when it was slightly converted to the Gregorian calendar. Did you know that the most accurate ancient calendar in the past was it the work of the Proto-Bulgarians? It differed from the astronomical one by only a few seconds. Already in 1976, UNESCO declared it the most accurate in the world. The year, according to him, begins on the shortest day of the winter solstice, which is around December 21st. It was day 0. However, 364 days begin after it. According to their calendar, it is not the year 2024, but the year 7529. It even counted leap years. Did you know that in the southern hemisphere, the shadow of the sundials there moves counterclockwise and counterclockwise to the sundials in the northern hemisphere? The clockwise expression actually refers to the way sundials in the northern hemisphere tell the time. It is this movement that is used in modern clocks. In ancient times, wealthier people had portable sundials with a built-in compass, because in order to read correctly, one must be facing north. In the 19th century, accurate timekeeping remained an increasingly important part of the day as people got busier. An awful lot of Londoners didn't have access to accurate clocks, by which to guide themselves and not be late for work, for example. This prompted astronomer John Belleville to start selling the time to his fellow citizens in 1836. How did he do it? Well, very simply. He set his pocket watch according to the time at the Royal Observatory at Greenwich, then got on his horse and rode back to London. He'd go around the neighborhoods, and people would check their watches against his, for a fee of course. His venture was so successful that John's family continued it even after his death until 1940. Have you ever happened to feel time barely passing, and other times it just flies by? One study suggests that dopamine is to blame for this. It makes us feel happy, and actually makes our brains lose track of time elapsed. When we are having fun, its levels are high, and this dulls our perception of time. More than 1 billion years ago, a day on Earth lasted about 18 hours. Now our days are longer because the moon's gravity causes the Earth's rotation to slow down. The time it takes the Earth to make one revolution around the sun, 1 year, has not changed. But the number of days in that year has changed. By the time the dinosaurs dominated the planet about 70 million years ago, the days were about 23 hours, and the year was made up of 372 of these slightly shorter days. Large countries like Russia or the United States have multiple time zones, while China has only one. This not insignificant country adopts the so-called Beijing Standard Time for its entire territory, right to promote the nation unity. But the effects of this decision may be strange. It so happens that in some cities sunrise is as late as 10 a.m. Realistically, they should have at least 5 time zones. But come on, unity! This is China. We're about to move our clocks forward an hour, which costs us an hour less sleep. Very bad. The whole idea behind daylight saving time is to use daylight as much as possible. But actually, the Germans introduced it first during the First World War to save coal. This weather change is only applicable in temperate regions, for there is the difference between daylight and darkness. It is most felt according to the seasons. Australia has horizontal and vertical time zones. Because of this shift, it's really terribly confusing there. Many countries now opt out of this change every year, and there is debate over whether to remove it altogether. Really, thanks to our brains, we feel new experiences as more lasting than familiar ones. When you experience or do something new to you, every second is remembered, and it seems to take longer while doing familiar things. Time seems to pass faster. This is called, believe it or not, strange effect, and explains why time passes so much faster as we get older. Realistically, with age, more and more things become familiar to us, and this is actually the reason. The smallest unit of timekeeping is the so-called Planck time. One blink of your eye takes about 0.2 seconds. If that very blink is measured in the smallest existing unit, it will come out to 550,000 trillions and trillions and trillions Plancks of time. Did you know that in the past there were no weekends, but rather a day of rest? It was only 100 years ago that the second day off was introduced. Before, the working week was 6 days, which meant that people worked almost constantly. But as the workload increased, the working week brought with it strikes by workers because of the constant fatigue. The important decision for the much-desired more days off is attributed to Henry Ford. He was one of the first employers to give 2 days off a week. He didn't do it out of philanthropy, however, and because he loved his workers. In fact, he observed something interesting. His most frequent buyers were his workers, but they had too little time to shop. Ford decided that people would buy more cars if they had more time. The power of time. Here are a few examples of the power of time that we can actually access. We all know about the Tower of Pisa, but have you seen its steps? This is what they look like after thousands of visitors a day for years. And here you see the footprints of a monk who prayed in the same place several times a day for 20 years. And this is a picture of buildings in New York that are black because of the dirty air. Thank you for joining us on this captivating exploration of the power of time. We hope these insights have broadened your perspective and deepened your appreciation for the complexities of existence. Remember, time is not just a measure of moments. It's a force that shapes our past, present, and future. If you enjoyed this journey through the mysteries of time, don't forget to subscribe to FactFrenzy Girl for more thought-provoking content that challenges the way you see the world.